Hey teachers, I'm here to talk to you today about some strategies I use for opinion writing in my classroom that really helps my students focus in on what the actual evidence is behind their opinions. So if your students are really struggling to actually provide proof and evidence to support their opinions, and you're getting very short essays that don't really have any substance, then this training is for you. So make sure you watch and make sure you stay with me until the end of this mini training, because I'm going to give you everything from the training for free, and I will give you a link to that at the end. So let me show you exactly what I do to get my students started once we have a writing prompt. The writing prompt I'm going to use is one of my favorite writing prompts, and this is, should bullies be arrested? Now this is a very interesting writing prompt to my students because we've talked about bullying before, but we've never really talked about what happens to the bullies. And my students are always very divided on this writing prompt, and I like to use prompts where I don't have all the students on one end. I want my students to be very split so that they have another student to debate it with. So what I do before we get started, before we read any articles on the topic or do anything, I have my students write the question and a little bit on yes and no. Now, not every prompt is a yes and a no prompt, so we can put something different here if it's not a yes or a no. However, in this case, my question is, should bullies be arrested? And that is a yes or no prompt. Okay, so before we even look at anything, I have them do this top part right here, where they look at both sides of the issue and they write some reasons for yes, they should be arrested, and no, they should not be. Then as we move on to actually reading about the topic and researching and getting more ideas, then I have them put information from the text that we read. And the reason that I start with this top piece first is because a lot of my students were giving me essays that were exactly the same because we all read the same text. So reading the same text is fine, but you want to do that after your students write down some of their own ideas. Otherwise, you're going to get the same essay over and over and over again. So the first thing that I do is I think it's really important to color code for students. And so what I'm going to do is use yes. Ones are going to be green. And my no reasons are going to be red. Just so that when we read the text, it's pretty easy to discern where they got the different pieces of evidence when they put it in their organizer. So your students can maybe start brainstorming already, or maybe they're not really sure and they don't have an opinion and they're not sure why they should be or why they shouldn't be, and maybe you have to do a little bit of discussion first. So just kind of read your room. If they need to discuss first, that's great. If not, they can start kind of brainstorming this. So some of the reasons that my students come up with for the yes reasons are that it's not safe to be at school. So some bullies, it's not safe for them to be at school. So having them arrested would keep them out of school. Some other reasons that my students usually come up with are sometimes they cause physical harm. And it's just brainstorming, it doesn't need to be complete sentences. And another reason that they might put, should bullies be arrested? Yes, well, because maybe it'll teach them a lesson. Not that I agree with that, but that's something that I hear from my students a lot. Say maybe it'll teach them a lesson. Some of the no reasons why bullies should not be arrested. Well, your kids might say, maybe it's the first time that they bullied someone, and maybe they can learn from their mistake. And I always get at least one kid that goes, Mrs. Smith, they're just kids. That's a pretty valid argument. Okay, they think my question's silly because they're just kids. So those are some of the reasons that your kids might come up with on their own. Now, the point of bringing the text in is to give them more examples for both sides of the issue, and also to just do a little bit more research to support whatever opinion they're starting to form. So usually after they have brainstormed these sides, they've kind of formed an opinion. They probably know what they're going to pick. And it's important to remember too with 4th and 5th grade students, when they get into 6th grade, a lot of times they're going to be arguing both sides of the issues. So having this organizer in 4th and 5th grade is a great way to kind of get them prepared for 6th grade when they're looking at both sides of the issue, and they're doing arguments and counter arguments, which you may already start in 5th grade like I do, just to prepare my students and get them thinking about both sides of the issue. So what I usually do with this is I will bring out either a text that's like a news article, or we'll look at like a short story or something that's going to give us some sort of information that would cover both sides of the issue. Newsela has some great articles, pro-con articles. If you go to their website and you search pro-con, you'll find a lot of good ones that have both sides of an issue, and a lot of them are current events, so that's great too. If you stick to the end of this video, I'm going to actually give you a text to use for your opinion writing to go with this actual organizer in this topic. So this is an anchor text that I use with my students that has information on both sides of the issue, and it's called Support or Slammer. And what I have my students do is I have them go through and read and color code. So if we remember here, we've got our yes reasons are green, and our no they should not be arrested are are red. And I usually will have them write something at the top just so that they know, okay, that's right, green is for yes, they should be arrested. And red is for no, they shouldn't be arrested. And when they see something in the text that supports either the yes or no, then they will underline that with the correct color so that they can easily fill in the bottom piece of this organizer. So looking at support or slammer, what I do is I have them read through, usually with a partner, so that they can stop and discuss and see if it's actually the correct either piece of evidence for yes or for no. But as they read through it, let's see. This is kind of an introduction. Some people believe that involving the police is too extreme, while others believe that it's necessary. So underlining that it's too extreme, not really a reason why they shouldn't be arrested, but it's wording that the students can use. That it's necessary. This is some really good vocabulary that your students can kind of bring over into their writing. When they actually state their opinion, they can say that they believe it's too extreme or they believe it is necessary. So kind of important to look at those. It says right here, those in favor of police involvement say that the problem is too serious to be handled by the school. So to me, that sounds like a yes. They should be arrested. Many of these people are worried about their recent cases where students were bullied to death. A 12-year-old girl named Rebecca Sedgwick's story caught national attention when she was verbally and physically attacked by girls at her school. So those are definitely reasons for why, yes, bullies should be arrested. And here it has law enforcement's opinion. So it's saying that law enforcement has said that bullying shouldn't be a law enforcement issue, but when it becomes a crime, we have to become involved. So when it becomes a crime. So that's not an exact yes, they should be arrested, but that's saying in some situations where it is a crime, they do have to be involved. So that can go towards that side a little bit. Okay, verbal abuse, that would be a yes, it's a crime. That's often seen in bullying cases. Some people are also concerned that verbal abuse can turn into assault, such as pushing or slapping. Assault is a crime that usually involves jail time for adults, so why not give the same punishment to teen bullies? Okay, so as we go through this, the next one they're going to see a lot of reasons why they shouldn't be arrested, like students may be punished unfairly, laws aren't specific enough. That's something that your students would not have come up with on their own, saying the laws aren't specific enough. And usually when my students get to this part, they go, what does that mean? So we take a little bit of time to research what the laws are about bullying and talk about, okay, if this was something that we did do, if we made sure bullies got arrested, how would we have to change laws, or what laws would we have to create to make sure that students are not punished unfairly? So we really dive deep into the subject, which is good because a lot of times when students write their essays, they say, yes, they should be arrested. These students are mean, they're bad, they're going to hurt other students, but that's really all kind of a flat argument, and they don't really have the thinking where they go up kind of outside the box and think about, okay, if we do arrest bullies, what things do we have to put into place? And so that's what really takes their essays to the next level and really shows that they researched it well, is saying, yes, I think they should be arrested. Here is why, and here are the things to support them being arrested, and here's what we're going to have to change in order to make this happen. And then the other side of it, no, they should not be arrested. They need to have arguments other than, well, they're just kids, or they might be punished unfairly. They need to really look at specific cases and examples where these kind of things have happened, where they have been punished unfairly. So not only are we underlining and looking for more content to put right here on our chart from the text, but we're starting a discussion on how we can get more information to support our argument. Okay, so we're not just having our reasons and the reasons from one text, but we're having discussion and further research to support our argument. And as we get further into the essay, we really discuss how students can debate the issue and how they can use those debates to decide what they need to say to their audience to convince them of their opinion. Because really, if somebody disagrees with their writing, they're not going to change their opinion just because they give good reasons. They have to really use some techniques, like taking the reasons, this is a counter argument, but in 4th and 5th grade, we don't really do it yet, so I kind of rephrase it, but taking the reasons why the people disagree with them and molding that as a way to support their argument, which is a counter argument. But I try to simplify it for 4th and 5th grade because it's good for them to start learning, but it's not quite a standard yet for them. So from the text, I will have them copy over quotes like verbal abuse can turn into assault. And I don't have them put all of them here, but I have them put the ones they think are the strongest arguments. And so they'll continue to fill this in until they have both a bunch of yes reasons and no reasons. Then they discuss, and ultimately they decide which side they agree with the most. So this, they don't put yes and they don't put no, they put the entire statement. Because sometimes if they put just yes or just no, they kind of get confused onto what their point is. And right here, this is going to really lead them to their lead sentence, this is very important for them to put the entire sentence. Yes, bullies should be arrested. This is the side they're agreeing with, and this is the side that they're disagreeing with. So this is also very important to have for when we're talking about discussion with people who disagree with us, aka our counter argument. A lot of times I will have them fold it so that they can really focus on the reasons and evidence that they wrote down on the side that they agreed with. And if they need to get a little bit information of what the people who are opposing them say, then they can kind of look at that side as well. And so that is what I use to get them started on their essay. After this, we use a lot of different focused organizers for each step of the process to get them organized, to get them writing good claims, good leads, and also to get good feedback and revise and edit and write an awesome final draft. So what I want to share with you is how to get this resource for free. If you go to performingineducation.com/opinion, no spaces, then you can pick up your free copy of our anchor text and the student organizer to get your students started on this writing prompt. The writing prompt is also included in the resource so that you can print that for your students. Please check it out and leave me a comment here to let me know how you're going to use this in your classroom. And I really hope that this helps you step up your game when you begin your opinion writing.